Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I feel yesterday was an interesting day in the market, and I am quite excited to see what we have today. So, let's come over here. So they did fix my data with Rhythmic, but they have the subscription wrong. So I'm only getting ES right now. So we're on the VPS again today. And has your trading account ever been hacked? Nope. Nope. I'm super paranoid about it though, so don't do it. Anyways, when I open the VPS, all of the windows get rearranged, which is something I despise. All right. Oh, where is? I did open it, didn't I? What's this one? All right. Cool. All right. So, what do we got going right now? Well, so yes. Well, again, on Friday, we had this decline. Again, this decline was caused mostly by anticipation of who the Federal Reserve Chairman will be. Yesterday, we had this kind of like wild candle here. Happened during the stream, and we said it was something to do with Japan. I later found out that it was actually a Japanese bond auction. Actually a Japanese bond auction. So the Japanese bond market is really bad. And I'm starting to finally see people say it. Like it's basically like the same thing that happened with Liz Truss, right? Liz Truss was Prime Minister of Britain, and they said, oh, well, we just cut taxes and that will be the solution to all of our problems. And the bond market said, nope, that's a bad idea. And they started raising interest rates on the UK, and they had to back off. And you're basically seeing the same thing in Japan. They're basically saying that the amount of spending and debt that you want to take out is too much, and you have to have higher bond yields because of that. And it is causing global chaos. And then on top of that, you've got the Greenland thing. And there is some selling in the markets because of the Greenland thing. S&P 500 down. Man, yesterday was quite the wild. So this gap right here is Monday, the holiday, right? And then you had yesterday. They ended up selling off in the end yesterday in ES. So it's pretty nasty. And that is, again, because Donald Trump is threatening increased tariffs on the EU as part of trying to negotiate a better deal in Greenland, we think. So, not pretty out there. And the issue is that the market is not very well protected. So, people may have to just straight up sell things off. We are not quite past. I think that you'd probably need more like a 30-day, new 30-day low. So, well, I guess it is a new 30-day low, but not a 90-day low. Okay. 90-day low is when a lot of momentum strategies will really start kicking in. But let's just look at this latest downturn over here in the 67, 70-ish area is kind of the next major trigger point. Okay. Look at some other assets. Oil on the rise this morning, but overall, at least the start of this week, it's kind of been in a little bit of a range here. But higher oil, that could get interesting. Gold and silver, it's just, man, up pretty big overnight. So you're basically seeing like all the money go into gold, which is pretty crazy. Do you do anything to protect your trading account from cybercrime? Well, there are certain considerations that I have to take when I'm streaming that I often screw up on, but we've never had a problem. I certainly get lots of phishing and things like that, but never had a problem. And I'm pretty paranoid about it all. I've got malware bytes. I've got Nod 32 for virus protection. Double check the emails and things like that. I'm not quite sure what kind of advice you're looking for here, to be honest with you. Rotate passwords is another thing. You can change from within Rhythmic, you can change your password, so I do that. Well, I'm wondering here. So the treasuries are back to 4.41. Still relatively low volatility, but you can see there was a little bit of a move right on the open. Kind of curious. I'm a little concerned because I have seen there was at least one European like pension fund that said that they were going to sell their bonds. The amount that they were talking about is not insignificant, but not like the end of the world. But they might not be the only ones. So I do think today we want to be on the lookout for some selling flows in the treasury. But I wouldn't say that it's absolute, because they no, hold on, I don't have Discord open and I'm hearing the bleep 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 bleeps. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Must be something in chat. Anyways, what was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So I'm worried about selling in the treasuries, but I also have to think that there is a point at which there's going to be counterflows. The thing that concerns me the most, does it concern me the most? I guess the reason why I think maybe there could be a turnaround in the treasuries is that the biggest move happened after they talked about who the Federal Reserve Chairman is going to be. And I really don't think that that's going to have that big of an impact. So, you know, part of the way that the Federal Reserve works kind of makes it hard for it to just be like that one guy has full control over everything. So I kind of think that the market is overreacting to things. I would think that all of the money going to gold and silver would be a bigger deal. But it's been relatively minor volatility in the treasuries themselves, right? So I think we're in a transition state. We're going to see what it transitions to. When the treasuries transition, maybe you will get some flight to safety flows. Okay. Donald Trump is speaking at the moment, by the way. Oh, by the way, I have TradingView open, or not TradingView. What's the Twitter? Pro.x.com. TweetDeck is what we call it. What we used to call it. TweetDeck. We need the TweetDeck. Oh, Trump is speaking to Davos right now. I was a little concerned last night because the last that I had heard was that their plane had issues and they flew back to Washington. But it looks like he made it. He's attacking Europe is what he's doing. Europe not heading in the right direction. Certain places in Europe are not recognizable anymore. Maxwell, how have you been? You know, we could open up the stream and watch Trump, but I don't know. I feel like talking, but maybe we should just open them up. One thing I'm seeing here, like one of the top stories on Zero Hedge, the debate here in Davos and everywhere is sell everything in America or buy the dip. And I think it's very curious that we have like a dip. I mean, honestly. Okay, here's the last 90 days in the S&P 500. And everybody's like, "Oh, we got to sell America now." Really? Really? Wait. You're going to sell the country that's the most prosperous in the world over a 2-day downturn and bluster over Greenland? So you're going to base your call for the next 30 years, I'm not talking about any of you, but like these fund managers, right? You're going to base the next 30 years of your investment on Trump said a mean thing. He wants to invade Greenland, and the S&P 500 is down the past 2 days. What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know what this is? Propaganda. It's propaganda. You cannot tell me that all of these rich people in Davos, they're making all of their decisions based on something that happened in the past month. And that's going to determine the next 30 years. And they're going to put their money in Europe, where they have huge debt problems. Growth has been low. They have huge demographic problems. They've got huge problems with their services and everything. In France, basically getting to the point where their government services are falling apart, and they have to raise their retirement age on people, all of these sorts of things. And you're telling me that your money is safer there than the United States because a president who we know will be gone in 2 years, by the way, because it's his second term, unless you think that he's going to somehow weasel his way into a third term. Okay. And that's you're crazy. They're not actually doing that. They're moving money around to try and influence people. That's not their plan for the next 30 years. Am I the only one seeing that? Because it's like every day now. Like the media hysteria has been especially strong the past week. Yeah, also a country that has 40 trillion in debts and prints money for fun. I don't get. They're talking about, inflation. So another thing is there are so many people on social media, like so-called experts, people that have bigger audiences than me at this point now, I think. And they're all talking about a resurgence in inflation. What resurgence? It's not. The CPI and PPI is not happening. And that they don't believe the CPI and PPI number. It's so wild to me. When we actually had inflation, everybody on social media was telling us, oh, it's just transitory, it's not a big deal, and blah, 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 blah. Told everybody to ignore it. And now, there's not any actual inflation happening, at least not in those numbers. And they're like, oh, that number is fake. There's huge inflation on the horizon. We need to do something about it. It's crazy to me. I think that what you're probably going to see, well, the problem is we got a government shutdown coming. That's going to hurt. Okay. But if there wasn't a government shutdown, probably you're going to see inflation continue to be just... because the generational factors that created low inflation in the last decade, during most of Obama's term and everything, are still there. So you've kind of got like maybe second, third order inflation effects. That's kind of keeping things even. So this year is probably even. You probably see the market does pretty well. Like retail sales do pretty well. All that sort of stuff seems to be on the up. So that may prevent them from raising rates. But I don't think that you're going to see big inflation. And then once that's passed, then the deflationary factors are going to come back in, and it's going to turn into we have to lower interest rates just to keep things afloat. I think that's what's going to happen is we're going to go back into the low interest rate environment. And everybody's over here like selling the treasuries because of Greenland. People only know how to be reactive and not proactive is what I think. I think that's what leads to many of this, I'm saying. Well, and not just reactive, but reactive to social media, right? So like whatever is the hot topic on social media, I have to be the one that gets in on it. I think that I haven't been as prone to that because if I go on TikTok and start making a comment about whatever big issue is going on at the time, I mostly get ignored, right? Because you're competing with every other influencer out there that the algorithm doesn't show you. I find days like today really frustrating because you know that the market is going to be pretty tight while Trump is speaking in Davos. And it wouldn't surprise me to see the market overreact to something that he says. But like, seriously, do we really expect that Donald Trump is going to unveil some sort of big new economic policy that's going to completely change the trajectory of bonds and the market today or something? Or just probably not. He's just going to say the things that he always says. He's just going to say the things that he always does. But that means that we kind of have to sit here. By the way, we don't have anything later, do we? Oh, we could tentative. They do have tentative Supreme Court opinion on tariffs. My understanding, though, is that the Supreme Court is not going to release that opinion during this group of things, or that it will be the very last one. So that one's probably not going to happen. But we do have pending home sales, construction spending, etc. at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Trump and meeting with leaders after Davos here. So, okay. Just one of them days. Yeah, on Reddit, there was somebody that was saying, no, when you go take a loan out at the bank, they aren't printing money. They're taking money from other deposits and giving it to you. And then I got to go and give them my favorite link. I was so excited. They haven't responded yet, though. So I just want to note here at the lower end of the volume profile that we got going here in ZN, there was a relatively large 5K iceberg. So there does appear to be some liquidity here. And I wouldn't expect there to be tons. I mean, like, when you look at cumulative delta, it's not moving a ton. I would have thought that, like, the area to try and reverse it would have been more like 12. But let's see if they're able to push through a little bit more here. Because we suspect there could be sell meta orders, right? So I'm still seeing stuff on Reddit about these guys protesting at a church. And I've never seen it confirmed, but they seem to be convinced that the pastor of this church is an ICE agent. How does that work? I thought if you were the pastor of a church, that was usually just your full job. I thought Mormons were the only ones where it was a part-time gig. So this sort of thing on Reddit is the sort of thing that bothers me the most. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney outstanding Davos speech in full. What kind of an idiot do you have to be to praise a politician? I don't think I sit there and go like, Donald Trump's speech at Davos was so good. I liked it so much. This is a stupid thing to say. I might say, well, he said a couple of things there that I think are going to help him politically, or like there might be some, but I'm never going to say like, I really like this, because that's being a sycophant for a politician. All politicians suck, always. They say things to help themselves politically, to manipulate you and the world. Praising them for you shouldn't praise them for that. Might have missed part of what you said, but Baptist Christians often have a more part-time or weekend pastor type position. Oh, okay. It's another thing that I think is really with this whole ICE thing. I would not have predicted this, that the leftists are going after ICE themselves. That there's something wrong with working for immigration and customs enforcement. So much so that they come to your church and protest you is so wild to me. Well, Trump is talking about Greenland right now. Nothing wrong with working with them. Remember their recent best hiring party ever. Leftists would disagree with you. They want to abolish ICE, which basically comes down to we shouldn't have any enforcement of immigration law. I haven't verified, but I think I heard that they confuse the pastor with either his brother who works for ICE or has the same name as an ICE agent. I'm not sure. Well, I'm still seeing progressive subreddits on Reddit, like Progressive HQ, posting videos of people saying that the pastor should resign for being an ICE agent. So the progressives are still convinced that he's an ICE agent. I saw this, every once in a while, somebody will say something that I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Almost so much so that I feel stupid that it wasn't like the first thought that I had. With this whole, protesting ICE in Minnesota issue. Don't tell me that progressives all of a sudden are, have a problem with government use of force. Okay, S&P just took off there. Because of what he said about Greenland. Just because it says that we're seeking immediate negotiations to acquire Greenland, and that results in the S&P 500 buying? I don't know. I'm really not quite sure why they reacted that way. But isn't it just exactly what I said, that they'll overreact to something that he says? Well, this time though, I don't think I understand why. And so it's hard for me to guess as to whether or not it has legs. So here's a thread on Reddit about day trading. You have a 97% chance of losing. This person says 97% of participants don't know how to win 51+% of the time. So this is an interesting one, actually. I saw a thing the other day that Renaissance, their win rate on their trades is something like 58% win rate. Can you believe that? So me saying, if you find something that wins 55% of the time, that's like incredible. Or you can find something that's even 51 or 52%, like that's more common edge that you might be able to find. But then think about that. You're going to take 100 trades, and the difference in you winning or losing is 4 trades. For you to make any kind of reasonable amount of money, you're going to have to be trading a lot of round turns to do that. So trading on an edge like that for most retail traders does not make sense. Just kind of puts in perspective what kind of game are you trying to play? Because if you're going to do high frequency trading, then probably you need to automate that and have something that's taking a lot of trades. But if you're not, if you're only taking 1 to 3 trades a day, if not maybe 1 to 3 trades a week, you can't be basing your trading off of some sort of, 52% win rate setup. So Donald Trump at Davos is saying Ukraine is your problem. We just want you. We just want Greenland. Why are they popping on this? I don't understand. Are the robots just confused? I am. By the way, do we have the auto recenter? Maybe we just don't have that feature. Ask Reddit, what is the likelihood that U.S. troops will disobey unlawful orders to attack NATO allies? It's really funny that people think that this is serious. Notice you have the knob on your chart. Is it a good idea to learn to trade the knob alone? So there are some setups that you can trade on the knob and that you can even scalp the knob. But this is something that I personally have never been able to figure out, to be honest with you. But if you're trading the treasuries, it is essential that you know which way the yield curve is going, because you're going to see aberrations in the order flow between the different instruments, and you will misread the order flow if you don't understand which way the spread is going. So I don't know if, I don't feel like that the change that we're seeing right now, we steepened a little bit and we're flattening back out. It's a little gentle, but that is going to be a thing. So I don't have ZB up, but I would expect to see more buying in ZB, and I wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, that means I should buy ZB. So that's really why you need the knob on there. This isn't like my my normal setup. I'm having some data issues, so I'm only got the basics up here, but normally I'd have the 5-year and the 30-year up. Here's an interesting one. Rasmussen reports 1 in 5 mail-in voters admit to committing at least one kind of voter fraud during the 2020 election. That's one that I think people are going to argue about for a long time. He says Putin wants to make a deal and that they're meeting Zelensky today. Well, I don't want to get my hopes up again. This is like the 3rd time that Trump has been like, we're close to a deal on Ukraine. Remember the whole Christmas thing? Oi. Maybe we're close. That situation in Ukraine, it needs to end. It's so heartbreaking seeing what has happened to that country. People that we knew. We used to have a lot of people from Ukraine come in on the stream. It's very unfortunate. So you know something else. I'm just kind of browsing around and I'm like, what are some things going on that people are not talking about or missing? Oh, that's interesting. Donald Trump specifically saying that the market was down because of the Greenland thing, but they're up today now. Okay. Anyways, there's reports that Renee Good, the woman who was killed by the ICE officer in Minnesota, was actually still alive when a physician on the scene was denied from trying to apply aid to her. I would think, given that she was shot in the head, that even if she was still alive at the time, that there's no chance that she would have survived. But despite that, I do think it probably opens up some curious legal issues. Like, perhaps the ICE officer is acquitted. Like, I think that the officer that shot is there's a really, really good chance that he gets acquitted. But that then there might be like a wrongful death suit is almost certain to happen, and they might get paid out from that. Or they might sue based on that she was denied first aid, and maybe the cop that like denied first aid gets in trouble. So that one is not going away. We're going to be talking about that incident for a long time. Oh, interesting. The comment period for the pattern day trade rule. Public comment period ends February 4th. And then it should be approved 45 days from January 9th, which means that by February 23rd, we might have the new pack. That is way closer than I thought it was. I thought that we still had like 6 months. I really want to show order flow on stocks. I really do. But it's like $100 a month, and the Rhythmic data fees went up, so that would be $150 a month just on data. And with the amount of risk that I'm willing to take on, I don't know if I could actually make $150 a month from trading. I don't know. As far as a civil suit, it would be better for the officer if he is not charged criminally to begin with. Yeah, and he may not actually get charged criminally either. I think that if it was just the state of Minnesota that they would have already charged him, but I think that what'll happen is that the federal prosecutors will slow walk it and then eventually not charge him, and then Minnesota will step in and charge him. And then there will be a trial, but the chances of him being found guilty of murder at the trial are, I'm going to say, low. I'm not going to say super low. Like, when I say low, it's probably like 30 to 45% chance that he is found guilty of murder. The thing that would give me pause in there is that he fired 3 shots, and the second and third shots were basically from the side. So that might be something that they take to try and show intent. That's really the only thing in the case that I think works against them, though. I had a spreadsheet here. Maybe it's not on Google. A criminal's life is worth more than a normal person's in some states. Okay. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. Hmm. $200. See, if you consider the Jigsaw live trading license, and then $50 for the day trading data, and then we add on top of that $100 for the stocks data, we're getting $200. And then on top of that, I think I would also add, the digital river thing is only 200 divided by 12. Just do it this way. Mhm. Hmm. I did not realize that the cost for maintaining the mailing list has gone up. I think I may just have to cancel that. Find a different option. $100 a month to get full market depth for NASDAQ stocks. So it takes about $123 to keep the live stream going a month. And then there's like the rhythmic data fees is not counted in that because it comes out of the trading account. And I'm I'm not counting the AWeber in here, so it's actually more like 170, 170, which about matches what we get from YouTube revenue. Oh, actually, I can see that here. Where was it? Come on, where? I need to do more with our paid Discord. If there's things that you guys would like to see on the paid Discord, let me know. I often forget about that. Oh, we're actually interesting. I must have missed it. NQ proposed extending U.S. equity trading hours to 23. Yep. They want the extended trading hours to be all night instead of just like however many hours it is or whatever. I don't think that it would really make much of a difference to anything that we do, but there's a lot of retail traders that seem to be awfully uppity about it. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. The thing we were talking about yesterday, I wish I'd thought about this earlier, was the Pulse thing. Pulse is so controversial. Can I get it to work now? No. What if I restart NinjaTrader? So I'm learning a couple of interesting things here. I'm kind of going off of, you know, what the channel makes a month from earlier, and it seems that it has gone up. Part of it was when we weren't streaming. And then another part of it was that, like, you know, the after whatever it was. Oh, that's interesting. How come the Pulse is showing me that? Anyways. Oh, that cool. It works now. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying? Like after 2022, YouTube revenue like fell off a cliff, and it's kind of recovered now. So I'm actually working with slightly higher numbers than I thought. Saw a video interview where a guy said that eventually when tokenization takes over, markets will trade 24/7, even on weekends internationally. With the tokenization thing, gets a little weird because some people, to some participate, like even within like people looking at these bills or in the industry, tokenization means different things to different people. Some people just think that tokenization is just doing and settling the transactions on the blockchain. But other people think of it as making every stock a new cryptocurrency, essentially. So some people want to do it because they think that tokenization will be a way around the SEC rules when you do a new offering, right? There's all these things that you have to disclose, and it's a lot of work, and it requires a lot of money, and it's not easy to... So it's not easy to do a new stock offering. And they think that with tokenization, it'll allow them to do that and scam people with stocks just like they did with new shit coins, right? Versus if this stuff was done on the blockchain at the firms, like if the prime brokers were doing all of the settlement and everything using the blockchain, then it could potentially go down from the clearing time going from 3 days to like 5 minutes. Right? So but I mean, I think more broadly there's something else going on here though, right? Like you can have the markets trading overnight. There's not liquidity overnight. The liquidity is mostly only there for the big boys, right? And the big guys, they operate between market hours when the trading floor is open. So, I really don't think that like the extended market hours are really going to affect retail traders at all. So here's the new Pulse thing in NinjaTrader. It shows you the positions essentially of all NinjaTrader users. So apparently, looking at all NinjaTrader users, there 21% of them are long, or there's an imbalance of 21% long E-minis. That's pretty skewed, but it's even more so in golds. And I don't get treasuries. Well, that sucks. Can you change what's added on the list? Why did they do it that way? That's so weird. Maybe those are just the only instruments that really have enough customers on NinjaTrader trading for them to really give you numbers like that. I'm amazed at what's available on poly markets in terms of finance. Oh, yeah. Kalshi is a thing. Kalshi is the only US regulated market in betting markets. Oh, why did this get so big? Oh, weird. Okay. So, where was I? So that's the way to do this. It's actually good that I'm doing this a little bit because I'm gonna have to do taxes anyways. Do not have as many affiliate sales this year. Okay. So, interesting. Trump's doing a Q&A, huh? Well, so it looks to me like, one, I could change the way that I'm managing the mailing list, which is increased in price on me to $55 a month. So that's half of it right there. And, you know, we didn't focus so much on things like affiliate sales and all of that last year, so we didn't sell a ton, which is okay. But we would like to do that more so that we can have cool things, right? So, but even with all of that, it looks like we could have afforded the whole thing, whole kit and caboodle. So, if we work hard this year and kind of up those numbers, I think we're okay. Because, you don't want to, I don't want to spend everything that we get on expenses, because you want to save up for a trading account or a bigger account, let's say. So I think I will wait until we get the actual pattern day trade rule changes. But when the pattern day trade rule changes, I think we will do it. I think we will do it with the XV. I suppose we could just do it now. But I'm going to do some research today about my mailing list thing. I can't use MailChimp. That's like the most common way. And maybe I can just manage it myself. Well, I'd still have to have something to send the emails, though. Can I ask? Do we have time? 5 minutes. You're so lucky. What did you get away with, hey Paul? What did you do? I tell you what, the NASDAQ, or sorry, the S&P 500 is, I don't completely get what's going on over there. I'm a little bit like, that's weird. But the treasury has kind of just been back and forth and has kind of been a little rough. I'm amazed Polymarkets is gambling in most other countries, but government approved in America. Odd. Oh, so off topic before we go, I was able to buy most of the PC parts I need. I got good stuff. My birthday marked the most recent price hike of hundreds, with all GPUs costing more now and sold out. I am so lucky. Oh, you did it just before everything went to shit. Good for you. Maybe I have to do it over here. Yeah. So I went through the whole thing. I included that we pay for the X Pro subscription so that we can use TweetDeck essentially. And I gave all the information to ChatGPT, and they're like, "Yeah, we need to cut X. Don't need that." The big issue, though, is that we can only stream for like the first 30 minutes. So the question is, would streaming 30 minutes of stocks order flow a day make a big enough difference for the channel for it to be worth it? Could do. I could be a little bit more active in the stocks too. The stock portfolio has been doing way better than I ever expected, honestly. But maybe that's because I just never touch it. Who knows? Probably generate some clicks. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it would generate $100 a month, but if we lock down with everything else. So the first thing that I got to do is well, I don't know. Probably most of you guys know this stuff, but if you don't know this stuff, down in the video description, we do have a few affiliate links and things. So I have a NinjaTrader indicator add-on pack that you can go and buy for $200, one-time fee over at speculatorseth.com. Includes all of the things like my spreads and synthetic dollar index and some other more advanced things like our volatility projections and the inventory cost basis indicator. All really, really useful. I can't trade without that stuff. So that's all available there. Also, if you use Jigsaw, I have an affiliate link for Jigsaw. Also, if you need a news squawk, and I really, really think you need a news squawk, we have an affiliate link for Financial Juice down in there as well. So you check all of those things. I do a really, really terrible job of telling you guys about these things. I probably should repeat it every 30 minutes or something like that, so that anybody that comes on the stream, they look at those things and they know. But it just hasn't been on my mind this past year. So if we start, pointing out those things, and it's easy to do because they're all things that if you're going to day trade, you need, right? Then we can bring in more income from that. But yeah, the first 30 minutes of stocks are actually the most defensible. Most of the real stock order flow happens before 10:30 Eastern time. Okay, I guess that's probably true. I really do want to do DX feed though. Yeah. We'll see where it goes, guys. I think we will do it though. All right. Anyways, it's time for me to get going. So hopefully tomorrow I get the data fixed. Right now I'm only getting ES. So, but tomorrow I think we should be up and going. So see you guys then. And maybe we can do stuff. Davos is kind of putting a kibosh on the market, but I do think it's getting to the time where I'll be ready to fire right when we probably need to, because I think in the rest of this week could get interesting, especially in the treasuries. So tomorrow, stay excellent, team.